Illinois Haul number 363 or 248 or 12. I don't know. Not a good day to be doing it though. I have tried all kinds of weather apps and they all said that, at least by us, 0% chance of anything, and we had like 4 or 5 inches of snow last night. We're almost to the destination. Well, we made it here, and there wasn't supposed to be any snow. It looks like they got about as much as we did over there in Michigan. As of last night, my brother said they just had a dusting, so Ronnie and I didn't bother to bring boots. And we got to go back there. I'm pretty sure we can. It's not that deep and it's powdery, so we can drive back there. But it seems like I always come unprepared.
Need a bike?
A lot of bikes. That car that was buried last year was over there. That's up in the garage now.
As you can see by the shelves, we got tons of plywood. All these shelves have plywood on them. Illinois Haul, February 2022. I don't know how many hauls I've made, but we didn't break down. That's a good thing, but it wasn't without problems. Turned out to be minor. Okay, so here's the fast version of kind of the bad thing that happened.
On the way up there on the southbound side of 294, there was an accident. There was construction in that area. Both north and southbound were down to 3 lanes each. The emergency vehicles couldn't even get through. They were trapped in the line of cars, and no one could move left or right to get out of their way. There was no shoulder for them to get around on. So I decided on the way home, we're going right through Chicago on 94. Now, given all the stuff that's been going on, the rioting and stuff in the past, I didn't know if it was safe to even drive through there. I figured if you stayed on the highway, you'd be good, but if you break down, like I always do, then I'd have to get off the highway. So I got a hold of Marty, and he has a son-in-law that is a Chicago cop, so he got back with me and said, as long as you don't get off the highway, you should be fine. So after we left Daniel's place, my brother took us up to Popeye's Chicken. Thank you, Brian. And we headed on our way. I looked at the gas gauge. It was halfway. I said, Ronnie, we need to stop and get gas. We're driving through downtown Chicago. I mean, we are right smack dab downtown on 94, and I just happened to glance down at the gas gauge and about had a heart attack because the needle was on orange. The traffic was doing 35 miles an hour, which I thought, okay, that's good because I'm not going to have to gun it just to get through here. We started praying. And we got down to the south side of town, and once you get, if you're familiar with going out of Chicago right downtown, heading south, you kind of go up and you're going to make a left curve, and then it will go down on a right curve, but on the right curve, it splits off to the right for your local exits. And so I took that, and I told Ronnie, I said, we're going to have to take one of these local exits and get a gas station. So we picked one. There was a crossing guard lady standing there right as soon as we got off. I pulled over. I asked her where the nearest gas station is at. She said, right down there at that light, turn right, and you'll see it. It's right there. So that was an answer to prayer. We got some gas, got back on the expressway, no problems, and it was pretty much smooth sailing all the way home. Now, I say smooth sailing, but the potholes on the roads out there, I mean, they went halfway down to China.
But other than that, everything went good. All right. So, you know, I had purchased a bunch of stuff from the barn find place. Last October, we made a video walking through some of it. And the big barn that had that car buried in there, if you remember, you'll see that that place is pretty much all in order now. And that car is up in the garage by the house. And I was weighted down. This time not the trailer so much, but the car. Let's take a look. I don't really know where to begin. Now, most of this stuff is going to come from the barn find. Some of it is going to be stuff that Brian picked up, I don't know where. I can never remember all that. I believe this came from the barn. He paid for it. It runs, but he said I need to go through the carburetor. That's one of his other concrete saws. I took his other one back to him, brought this one home. Now I worked on this one before, but I didn't do anything with the carburetor, so I need to get into that. This is a Steel TS 300, 350 Super. What is that thing? 350. And the one that I took back to him, I think was a 300, possibly a 350 regular. And then I got, this is interesting. This is a green machine. I brought it home. I looked in the gas tank, bone dry and clean. So I'm assuming that the carburetor was bone dry and crispy. I put some gas in it, sprayed a little bit of ether in the carb, and it fired right off, but it wouldn't pull any gas, so I'm sure I got to rebuild the carb. I'll take a look at it. In this tote right here is full of chainsaw. Well, it's a boneyard, and he got that from his neighbor for me, along with this Husqvarna 570, which has a bad cylinder, low compression. I peeked in the spark plug hole, and there's some scoring there, so I'll have to rebuild that one. I'm just glad the guy didn't rob all the parts off of here like he did all those steels. This old Skill worm drive, it has a broken handle in it. It looks like it's a piece of junk, but these are sought after saws. Guys will still pay pretty good money for one like this, and I'll look up, see how much handle costs for it. And the last time I rebuilt one of these, it was a newer one, and you can still get parts for all this stuff because people just love them. Oh, what else is there? down here. There's a grinder, don't know if that works, and here's a handheld sander. Now this wood shark, this Poulan, Daniel's the guy, him and his sister are getting this place cleaned out. They have a couple other siblings that aren't able to make it out, I guess because of their health or whatever reasons. But Daniel said, if you can get a saw going for me, then, you know, I'll give you a good deal on something you want, which was that green machine. And also I picked out this Florida Pneumatic air chisel. Got some chisels with it. So he gave me a good deal on that. And so all I got to do is get that Poulan going. And it has good compression, so I don't think it'll take much. There's a brand new motorcycle by Huawei. Never been used. And here's a fluorescent light in here of some sort. Appears to be new. I haven't opened it yet. Some wheelchair batteries. Don't know if they're any good. And in that bucket, I have no idea what's in there. Didn't go through it yet. Don't know where he picked this up. Could have been from the barn find, but I'm not sure. But it's a Generac, and if it got put away with water in there, you know, there is bad. We'll take a look-see. I got 44 quarts full of Earl. There's some Quaker State in there, Pennzoil. There's a lot of this Arco Plus brand. There's these Cam 2. If any of you guys remember this brand, let me know. Just curious. There's some, there's some house brands in there. There's a Valvoline. And then I got me some Homey Light 2-cycle oil. And then, of course, the Kerchunkers to chuck in here to pour out your Earl. So some of these can sell pretty good on the eBays, depending on what you have. When he first showed me these, I had no idea which ones would be in amongst the stuff. So I looked on eBay, and some of these quarts, the more sought after ones, were selling for $50 a piece, and I was starting to get pretty excited. If you do the math, $50 times 44, that's a good chunk of change. Well, I don't know if I have any of the $50 ones. I'll have to dig through there and see. But I went real modest at $20. Well, $10 a piece makes it easy to figure out, so it only goes up from there. There's a lot more 2-cycle oil there, but you know, it didn't get included in this deal. I'm not going to pay extra for it. If it's there by the end of the summer, I'll end up getting it. Because at this, from what I'm understanding from my brother, whatever's left there at the end of this summer, he gets to haul it all away and do whatever he wants to with it. This will be the 4th year that Daniel and his sister Sharon has been selling stuff, trying to clear out all their dad's belongings, his hoard. 5 properties. When we went over there last October, there was 2 properties left, the one that they're at now, and then the lake house, and we were just cleaning up there so that the new people could move in. They lived right across the street, so they were happy. So this property is the last one, and there is just tons of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that isn't worth a plug nickel. There's a lot of palm sanders, belt sanders, that line of stuff. You can't get rid of that. Nobody wants it. I had a whole box full of them a few years ago, and I couldn't sell them on Craigslist for $5 a piece. Nobody wanted them, and they all work great. So I ended up giving them to Goodwill. Now somebody will pay $5 a piece there, I don't know why, but they just wouldn't buy them on Craigslist. So, and I don't do Facebook, but I did mess around with Marketplace a little bit. That's the same way. It's just what you're selling. Is it going to sell? You could probably, I didn't price like the brand name sanders and stuff like that, but people would be just as happy to go to Harbor Freight and buy one of those. I've got a belt sander, I think it's a Harbor Freight one, that I must have got from my brother, and it works fine. I just don't hardly ever use it because I don't do wood. I'm only good at making sawdust and ashes when it comes to wood. So, moving right along, I got a set of wrenches from 1 inch to 2 inch. Not that I needed them, well, they were there, and I had them throw it in with the lot of stuff that I paid for. These are not all the same brand, and most of them are Ho Chi Minh. But I think what I'm going to do is find a spot up on there, as long as I don't beat along my head, which I think I'm too short to worry about that, but Junior might. But I might just hang them up there in a row just to make them look good, don't you know, for conversation piece. But I would like to get a hold of my brother, and maybe, I wish I would have known when I was there, because this one's, rusty, and this one's a real oddball. It's probably the only American-made one. Yeah, it's a USA one. USAA. So the rest of these, I am sure. Oh, there's a jet over there next to this one. I don't know. SK. Anybody familiar with that? Here's a jet. Japan. I'd call that a good one. But I know probably all of those are Chinese, which those are fine. I'm sure they're plenty good enough. But again, I'll probably never use anything. Well, I've got up to 1.25 inches in my toolbox, and I'd probably go just a little bit bigger with something. But I'm glad to have it. Yes, sir. We got a bucket of these. It's a pretty good sized tote. My boot is probably a foot long, and so this is all full there. I know one thing right off the bat, I'm keeping that little baby one for me. That's the smallest one of the bunch. But the aluminum ones, and there's more down in there, they ruined one. They riveted a pipe right to the handle, so I'm going to have to grind those rivets out and get rid of the pipe. But the aluminum ones are worth some cashola. And then there's these ones. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 aluminum ones. That puppy is a nice one. So, one of the mechanics up to the hardware store is also a woodworker, and he's wanting to buy 4 of these to make table legs. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Google it sometime. Pipe wrench coffee table. Somebody used these. They right in the corners. They routed in for that top jaw to set recess down in there, and then you clamp it tight. But then they did some woodwork carving right around the top of the jaw to make it look like it's pulling it down like a cushion. And buddy, that's a good idea, and that's what he's wanting to do. So I'm going to work out a deal with him for a chainsaw, perhaps. We'll see how that goes. But there's some of these are a Walworth brand, which I think is pretty cool because it's just one letter away from ours. And actually, it's the same name. Back in the day, someone either added the S. Yeah, that's what they did. They added the S, I think, after the family moved to the United States. There is a Walworth Castle in England, and I think it's either an orphanage, or at least last I checked it, they had kids there. So I don't know. I have one of these. I don't know what style you call it. Well, let's just call it a crooked guy. And then there is one Chinese one here. That's the only one. There's a sticker still on it, $25. And I reckon that'd be okay to use. I'd probably keep that one for myself because I don't have one that big. And I rarely ever use them, so I don't need to rob from these. I'm going to be cleaning a lot of these up. I don't know the best way to go about with these. Maybe a tote with some vinegar in it. If you got a better idea. I don't want to mess around with the electrolysis because that's just a mess. And the vinegar is easier to deal with. But maybe electrolysis otis atomidibus would be the way to go. This is a steel 029 Super. I have no idea about it. I know that they can be worth a good fair chunk, and some of the missing parts might be in that tote. Right there. I had an 026. I know the 029s, especially a Super, probably a little bit more dough. Then there's this Ranger. I don't know anything about a Ranger, but it looks like ketchup and mustard. So I don't know if that's a Wally World brand. Don't know. If we get it running, we'll sell it at the auction. All right, now, last but not least, the big thing that I wanted the most, well, yeah, you know, I really wanted that chainsaw too. Yes, sir. Okay, is outside here. It's going to be sunny. Neighbor brought this over. It's got problems. Not real bad ones, just had to order a pulley. Okay, get ready to squint your eyes. It's bright. It's windy. But this right here is my stump grinder. Now, the wind is blowing. I'm going to try to block it from the microphone. Forget it. It's going to be windy. One of the tires loses air. I think it's this one. I'm surprised that one don't. It's dry rotted pretty bad. And it looks complete. My brother seems to think that this is not the original engine. Whether it is or not, it looks pretty nice. So I can't wait to get going on this. We need a battery. Maybe that motorcycle battery, what do you think? Might fit in there. I was going to keep the battery off that Toro mid-engine lawnmower, but I thought, what am I ever going to do with it? And buddy, I'm telling you, it was the same size as that one right there. It figures, and there was nothing wrong with that battery. All right, well, that was the haul. Such as it is. Such as it was. And our next trip there will probably be early summer, because we want to go over and help with the sales. I don't anticipate bringing much home from that one because I know what's in the barn for the most part. And yes, there's more things I'd like to have, but I don't know, we'll see. Actually, though, with us working there, he's going to say, you know, what do you want? So I'll probably have to bring something home. I'm not taking the trailer. Nope. No trailer. So if I get too much stuff, it'll just go to Brian's house, and then next time he comes over here, he can bring it to me. That's all. So I guess that's it for now. What do I do? I mean, you know, it's funny. What do I do? What's today? Is Saturday. Okay, all week long, I was moping around the house. I said to my wife, "What? I don't have a thing to do. Nothing. I walked out here. I cleaned a little bit. There wasn't a whole lot to clean. And I looked up in the loft. I'm like, what in the world? Everything's running. There's nothing to work on. And then I saw my concrete saw. So, of course, I worked on that, got it going. And then I thought, okay, now I have nothing to do, nothing. And then guy down at the hardware store called me down there to look at a chainsaw, goofy looking. He said, you got to come down and see this thing. It's a Husqvarna 336. And it is goofy looking. And he said we were not getting good compression. The guy decided he didn't want to put no money into it, so he left it here. He said just dispose of it. And I think he was kind of testing to see if I wanted to buy it from him. No. I looked up on eBay, couldn't even find one for sale. We couldn't hardly find anything on this saw. It's an oddball. It's a 2004. And it's goofy looking. If you look up a Husqvarna 336 and you have to put in chainsaw, because there is a 336 weed whacker, I think. It's a goofy looking saw. So I brought it home and I took it apart. And I figured, well, you know what happened is he can pay for the parts, I'll do all the work, and then, you know, he splits it with me. I'll do that, but I don't want to buy it because I don't want to be stuck with it, or I don't want to end up putting a lot of money into it and then be sorry. So I took that thing apart, and the piston has some scoring on it, but that can be saved. The ring, of course, would need a new one. In the cylinder, I honed it out, and it looks great. Not even a mark left in there, and it didn't even take that much, so, you know, that looks all right. So then we looked at the bearings, and these bearings have like a rubber cup that goes over them, and they're shot. So he had to order a couple of those, and we should be able to put it back together with just that, I think. Anyway, I had that to do, but it really wasn't a lot. And then I brought all this stuff home. I said to my wife, I went from I don't have a thing to do, not a thing, to what do I work on first? And I'm going to pace myself. Usually I get excited and I just start tearing the stuff up, and then before too long I don't have anything to do. But when I was climbing up the ladder behind me and looking up in the loft I was trying to find a container of propane. And I looked over, and you can see a bucket up there by the ladder. And behind there is a backpack leaf blower. I said, oh, I guess I still did have one more thing to work on. But now that's going to have to wait, because that's the least of what I want to work on. So I'm back in business again. So George, I am not bored anymore. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these great big baking pans, sheets. I will wash those up and take them to the auction. Guys that have smokers, big smokers, love those things. And I got a tote full of air hose, and they may not look like much, but there's actually some pretty nice ones in there. I hauled one out. That black one down there is still really pliable, and remember, it's a good one, so I'm going to use it for my extension backup. The rest of that's going to go to the auction. There is one more thing I forgot to show, and that's this concrete saw. and it's missing the starter. So I gotta look around, see if I can't get one, and I doubt it's in this. I suppose it could be in here. I'll dig around and see. Came from the same guy. But the mechanic said that's good brand. So we'll see. We'll mess with it. I dug through the tote looking for the cover for that, which it's not in there, but there's 5 of these little buggers. I don't know, that'd be pretty cool if I could make one good one. Parts. That muffler looks like it goes to that one there. I guess it wraps it up for this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.